Coming in at number 3 is better dungeon designs. So pretty much with the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, an alien ruin is gonna look sort of like this, except maybe a little bit different when it comes to the enemies that are within it, and maybe some slight alterations in design, just a little bit for the most part. An alien ruin looks a lot like an alien ruin, and the same thing sort of goes for caves. Caves are just gonna sort of look sort of like this, bunch of rock, that's sort of dug out, and other than maybe different enemies and a slightly different layout, a cave is going to sort of look like a cave, and the loot might be different, but that's about it. And with a fort, it sort of just looks like this on the outside for the most part, and even when you go on the inside, maybe the only thing that's different is the layout a little bit and the traps. And it's the same thing with caves and alien ruins. Sometimes they're traps, sometimes they're not. And that's the only thing that sort of keeps things interesting when it comes to the dungeons is the possibility of having different traps and different populations in there. And that's about it. A dungeon is a dungeon is a dungeon when it comes to the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. And number 2 is Radiant AI. So this was revolutionary during its time. We're talking about people that have schedules and being in the same places at the same time. And sadly, also usually sharing some dialogue that's usually very repetitive. Um, just, just like the random sort of generated rumors that get repeated over and over, it's the same when it comes to this Radiant AI, and when it comes to potentially trying to steal things and just moving a cup or anything. The Radiant AI lacks the I part. It's not like I'm actually going to steal the cup, I'm just moving it. And so, even though this was a revolutionary idea, the execution was just a bit off. We needed a little more I in it and a little bit less Radiant in it, I think. But still, revolutionary.
And coming in at number 1 is level scaling. So this is going to require quite a bit more effort to explain compared to other things. So when you play the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, you choose a race, a birth sign, a class, or make your own custom class. And then your level is determined based upon those other things. Max health, magicka, and fatigue, same song and dance. And then for these particular attributes, they have certain skills that are tied to them. So for example, strength is governed by blunt, blade, and hand-to-hand, for example. So if I want to try and get my strength up, which helps with carry weight and doing damage with swords and axes and such, what I need to do is work on my blunt, blade, and hand-to-hand skills. However, if I have a class, so let's say I chose a knight, all of these, the blunt, blade, and hand-to-hand, are major skills when it comes to a knight. And that will help me level up much, much faster without putting sufficient points into my strength attribute so that I can keep up with the enemies. And so when it comes to a Nightblade, which is the class I have for Marchante, the Breton, these are the major skills. So athletics, so if you do a lot of running, this increases. If you do swimming, it increases faster. And this contributes towards speed. And then we have Blade as a major skill, Alteration, Destruction, Restoration, Acrobatics, and Light Armor. So if I level these up very quickly, I will progress to the next level very quickly. So what this means is that the enemies are the same level as you. So right now, I am level 1. So if I go into a cave, let's say, all of the enemies in that particular cave are also going to be level 1. And so you're at equal level. So at this point in the game, I should be able to go into a cave and take out a rat in 1 or 2 hits, depending on if I use a major skill like Blade, or if I use a minor skill like Blunt, it might take 2 or 3 hits on a rat to kill a rat. And so as I level up, the enemies also level up with me. So if I go into a separate dungeon, which also has rats and let's say wolves somehow got in there as well, those would then be level 2 or level 5 or level 10 or level 15 based upon what level my character is. Also, the level of my character determines what kind of enemies are in there. So if I'm level 15, I might have minotaurs in a cave instead of rats. And so you'll have a level 15 minotaur, which is nothing to sneeze at whatsoever. So because the level scaling is really, really awkward, a level 15 Minotaur could completely wipe you out in a very few hits if you don't level up efficiently, which is sort of what the goal is when it comes to the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Now, in order to level up efficiently, you actually really want to use your minor skills more, especially at the beginning of the game when enemies are not as difficult. So I want to use blunt weapons. I want to use a shield early on so that I can maximize my increases in endurance and strength. And endurance is important because it influences your maximum health. And so what basically it comes down to is before you start a game of the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, you basically have to know which skills to have as minor skills and which skills to have as major skills so that when you level up, you're leveling up efficiently and the enemies and yourself are basically on the same level at least. And so you don't get overpowered by a level 10 ogre when you become level 10 because you're able to level up efficiently. And there's a whole wiki page on how to efficiently level. And so it gets really, really complex, and I am going to cite EpiTV because that particular YouTube content creator goes through the difficulties of this level scaling much more than I do, and also has links to mods that are helpful, and I have both of those mods installed, so it actually does help when you get to later levels and helps sort of make sure that the level scaling doesn't become too overly obnoxious, annoying, and sometimes quite comically bad. So the level scaling can really turn people off to the game, and if the level scaling in Oblivion were sort of like Elder Scrolls Online, one could argue that the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion would be the masterpiece of all masterpieces, because then you could play the game more organically instead of having to plan out basically everything that you need to do so that you level up efficiently and not use your major skills as much as your minor skills, especially at the beginning of the game, which is even as someone who's played this game almost 800 hours, leveling up efficiently can still be a pain in the balls. So my recommendation, mods, and also taking a look. See, there we go. I was just running around and my athletics increased. Now I have a level up that I can turn in. Another alternative is not to level up ever. So don't sleep in the game because it's not required. But that's just makes it very unrealistic. I definitely will link in FETV for their full-length video about the level scaling issues in the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. K-Dub here. Just a friendly reminder that this content is partially sponsored by a trio. Logo's up there. A trio is an organization that allows content creators to find sponsorship opportunities on their website. So if you do end up going on their website and you do decide to register, please put in the code KDUB4, which is KAYDU4, and that referral will put $5 toward my channel. I appreciate your support on that. In addition, did you like the content? Go ahead and hit the like button. And if you want to get notifications for future uploads, please hit the subscribe button. Thank you. Take care of yourselves, and I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye, everyone, for now.